We will continue on our discussion on sand casting process. So as I said, it is a process where sand is made into required shape. So for making sand into required shape, you need a material called as pattern. So pattern is a replica of the object which needs to be made. For example, if you need to make a fork or a spoon using sand casting process, then the pattern would be the replica of the spoon, but it will be made of materials like wood, wax, plastic like that, because use metal as pattern, then they are subjected to thermal expansion. So to prevent that, we are using materials which are cheap in nature, reduce the cost, and also durable in nature, preferably wood, because it is cheap, it is durable, and it is not subjected to thermal expansion. That much thermal expansion as that of metal. So that's the reason for preferring wood for making pattern. So I'll show you pattern. So yes. So once the casting process is started, what happens is that you will be placing sand on box like this. So there are two boxes here. One is scoop and one is drag. The bottommost part is called as the drag and top part is called as the scoop. So metal sand will be placed on these two boxes. So I am saying sand, which is a generalized form, but the sand which we are using in sand casting process is actually called as green sand. So green sand is a mixture of different sands. So it is made up of river sand, clay, coal. So it's a mixture of these three things and some additives. So it is combined form of these three materials, because it has to have the properties which are best in these three materials. River sand has very good flowability. Flowability means it can be easily transferred from one place to another, and it can be easily placed or stored without any formation of blocks. But if you take clay, clay has very good moisture retention capacity and it can be easily molded into any shape. But the drawback of clay is that it is not flowable compared to your sand. So to enhance that flowability, we are using river sand. Similarly, river sand, though it is flowable, it cannot be made into shape as readily as clay. So by combining these two, you are getting the better properties of river sand as well as clay. And coal is used to get that smooth texture. Coal is very soft in nature, so it can be used to get a smooth texture, to get smooth finish. So that's why we are combining these three. Even though the name indicates it's green sand, it will be black in color because of the presence of clay and coal. So that sand is poured into these boxes, scoop and drag. So once the drag is filled with the sand, then pattern will be placed over it and it will be rammed on with the help of some rammers. So once it is rammed, what happens is that the sand will take up the shape of the pattern. So this, as we can see here, this is the space where the pattern was placed. So this is the replica which we need. Once the pattern is made, other components are incorporated into the molten metal, into the sand cavity. So as you can see here. So there are different openings done, pouring basin, a vent, a riser. So what's the purpose of these things? I will explain to you in the upcoming slides. So once everything is done, molten metal will be poured inside. And once the molten metal is poured inside, solidification takes place and we can get the required shape from the cast. So this is an overview of the casting process, sand casting process. To give you a recap, what we'll do is first we will place sand in the hoop and drag. So once the sand is placed, we will place the pattern over it. to get the impression of pattern on the sand. Once the impression is generated, we will remove the pattern and you will have a cavity there. So that cavity is where molten metal will be poured inside to get the required shape. So once the molten metal is poured and it solidifies, you will get the casting. So that's over your sand casting process. We will discuss in detail what are the various parts in the sand casting process and how the process is done in the upcoming lectures. Thank you.